Dixie here. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm actually still in North Carolina. Came here to spend Thanksgiving with my family. Today I want to talk to you about night hiking. So I've had several people ask me, why on earth did you night hike during your through hike, or why would anybody night hike, and isn't it dangerous, and just some other concerns involving night hiking. So I'm going to go over some of that today. So the first question, why on earth would anybody decide to night hike? Well, for me, I had gone to my brother's graduation during my through hike, so I took a week off of the trail. And prior to that, I'd hiked like almost 500 miles with one group of people that I met out there on the trail. So they were my friends. When I got back on the trail, I didn't know anybody around me. So I was like, well, why not keep hiking, on into the night a little bit? And if I do a chunk at a time, then I can finally catch up with, the people that I know.
So anyway, just playing catch up is kind of fun, actually. It's like a game out here or something.
Other reasons you might decide to night hike might be that you're close to a town and you know that the trail actually goes through the town, or it's like, the trailhead is a mile from town, so you can get to town pretty easily. And there is going to be a hotel that is open with food and shower and a washer machine, and that you can get to town and be warm and dry and happy. So that might cause you to, push on through a few more hours and hike into the night. Other reasons might include the weather. So maybe in the mornings it's starting to get real cold and it's hard for you to climb out of that sleeping bag, but you still need to make miles, and you decide rather than waking up early in the morning and hiking, you'll get those miles done at night. Or also the weather, like if it's raining and it's pouring and it's about the time that you normally set up camp, but you're like, well, instead of stopping in the pouring rain, I'm just gonna hike a little bit further in hopes that the rain will die down, or I'll find somewhere that's got really good tree cover so that I can set up like that. Now if it's thundering and lightning, of course it's probably best to stop, especially if you're at lower elevation, than to continue climbing to high elevation. Another reason people might decide to night hike is just to try something different. So by Virginia or so, you start to get, I don't want to say bored with the trail, but honestly kind of bored with it. You're used to, okay, I wake up, I throw all my stuff in a pack, and I hike all day. So by night hiking, you kind of, mix it up and add a little more excitement to the trip. And I think that because I was trying to catch my friends in Virginia, I avoided what they call the Virginia blues. And then also, you're like, I've hiked my highest mileage in a day is like 20 miles. So I want to try to do 22 miles today, and that might end up running you into the night, but you don't care, because you're like, why not? I just want to see if I can. Another weather related reason that people might decide to night hike is because it's so hot in the summertime. So, you decide to kind of take breaks during the day and hang out in the shade and stuff, and then make up those miles that you didn't hike when it was scorching hot at night. But Dixie, isn't night hiking so dangerous? Isn't hiking the AT dangerous? Isn't flying in a plane dangerous? Isn't driving in a car dangerous? Yes. You're gonna meet dangers on the Appalachian Trail, and sure, it's best to minimize that risk, but if you decide that you want to try night hiking, then go for it.
Well, I just experienced wipeout number 2 of the trip. I'm laying on a rock right now. I'm just gonna sit here and take a break for a second.
Some ways to keep yourself as safe as possible, of course, I would not recommend night hiking in bear country. I did do that, and I ran across some steamy piles of bear doo-doo on the trail, and that's pretty scary to be alone and night hiking and see that. Also, I would not recommend hiking at night in the White Mountains just because the terrain is so rough. So that's the main thing. You want to check ahead and, in your guidebook, again, I can't recommend the AT guidebook highly enough, but you want to check in your guidebook and make sure that nothing's going to be like straight up and straight down, because Mount Moosilauke, I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, but I was coming down that at night after it had stormed, and that was very scary and very dangerous and very stupid, and I do not recommend doing that. But again, there was a hotel waiting for me on the other side, and I knew if I could just get down that mountain, that I could do it. But the White Mountains, the terrain is rough, and if you're an average hiker at 2 miles per hour, in the White Mountains you're going to be like a half of mile per hour. So you slow down already enough there, and then to add night conditions to it, it's just not really smart. So check your terrain, kind of know what the weather's going to do. Look in the sky, try to predict what it's going to do. In the mountains, it can change quickly. Another way to ensure your safety while night hiking is to have a good headlamp. So I started out with like a cheap $10 headlamp that I'd gotten from Target. I was like, I'm just going to have to be able to see things in my pack at night in my tent, or just a little pass to the bathroom. I never really anticipated night hiking. So even if you think that you might not be interested in it, have one just in case, because the first time I night hiked was with a group, and we were just pushing to get to town so that we could get to a hotel, and we were trying to top our miles. We had never done 23 miles, so we were going for that also, and we had to kind of put the people with the bad headlamps in the middle of the people with the good headlamps. So I decided I didn't want to be a person with a bad headlamp again, and I got a better one. Now, the better one still wasn't like the best of the best. It was a Coast brand, not water resistant. I would recommend having them be water resistant just in case, but mine actually wasn't, I don't think. The one that I have now is a black diamond, and it is, and it's much brighter. And my Coast one, it was a lot brighter than the $10 one, but the batteries just didn't last that long. So just make sure you've got yourself a really good headlamp. You can skimp on certain things with gear, but that's one of the things that if you can, get by spending a little bit extra on that, I would, and it's worth it. What was interesting to me is that when I started night hiking, I had this like strange resistance from some of the people around me. Like, why would you want to hike at night? That's weird. Or, you're gonna miss pretty things. Well, I mean, I didn't night hike past McAfee Knob. I didn't night hike up Katahdin. The main beautiful like landmarks on the trail, I didn't night hike past those. I looked ahead of my guidebook and made sure that it was, not anything that had a beautiful view, or because they show in that guidebook too, like where you're going to see the really pretty views, So I pretty much picked where it was, plain and just the same terrain that I had been seeing to night hike through. So I didn't miss those beautiful views. But I'm going to tell you, there are some really pretty things that you can see at night that you can't capture on at least an iPhone camera. There's something about standing in an open field and like seeing a million stars above you and fireflies just lighting up everything around you that I can't explain to you. You have to do it. You have to be there, and doing that by yourself, like cutting off your headlamp and just standing there being like, I am completely alone in all of this right now, and like I wish that somebody else could be here to see this, or I wish I could capture it so I could share it with people. And it's just something that you capture in your mind and that you remember forever. There is a charm to hiking at night. I've had people ask me, well, wasn't it scary hiking alone and at night on top of that? I mean, sure, it could make you a little bit nervous, but I kind of think that night hiking was like a confidence booster. So people that get in their tent before it's dark or right at dark by themselves, and then they hear all the noises of the night and stuff like that, you know what I mean? They get creeped out. But if you kind of just go, well, I'm just going to keep hiking into the dark, and when I get tired, I'll set up my tent. Like, you get to see some of the critters that you might hear that would freak you out, So, of course, like I said, you don't want to spotlight a bear at night. That's kind of freaky, So New Jersey, New York, real thick bear country. Might not want to night hike there, but like deer. So one night I was night hiking and I like saw eyes, like I just saw these eyes glowing, and I'm like, oh gosh, what is it, And then I heard this grunting noise and then pee. And as I like got a little bit closer and could see it a little bit better, it was a buck, and he had just like grunted and then peed. I don't know, it was just it was kind of cool. You start to see like what's out there at night, and you start going, okay, well, I haven't spotted Bigfoot yet, so maybe he's not gonna mess with me, you know what I mean? So it really is like a confidence booster, and you just start feeling a lot more comfortable in nature when you see it, kind of in all lights or lack of light. And you can stop whenever you're freaked out. I mean, provided that there's like somewhat level ground, or if you're a hammocker, then 2 trees, I mean, if you decide like, okay, I want to get to X shelter and you get tired along the way, I mean, they recommend you stop at designated campsites, but in most areas, stealth camping is not, illegal, or against the rules. It is discouraged, but if you're scared or you're tired, you're exhausted, and you want to stop, then just stop. Like, it's going to be okay. So it's not like you're stuck, hiking a certain distance at night. So if you decide to go for it and maybe try like a mile in the dark, and then decide that it's not for you, then you haven't really lost anything. So like anything else in the world of backpacking and hiking, night hiking isn't going to be for everybody, but I will say you should knock it until you try it. I hope that y'all found this information useful, and if you have any questions related to night hiking or any experiences that you would like to share, please feel free to do so in the comments below. And if you would like to support this channel, the easiest way you can do this at this time of the year, I know y'all are going to be shopping on Amazon for gifts and things. It is the holiday season, so you can click show more below and shop through my Amazon link. So you just click the link, it'll take you to my book, but you don't have to buy the book. You just search in the search box like you normally would for whatever you want. Any purchases that you make through that link will go to help support me at no additional cost to you. So I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp.